lot of people show up at work and hide a lot of, who they are out of fear, right? They're not really showing up and expressing their full potential. They're kind of going with the flow, and oftentimes they're miserable for it. So they may go home with their families and they're who they are, and they're not feeling restricted in that sense, but they go to work and they kind of put on this different face, and they're just trying to survive in that context. But that's exhausting for a lot of people. I think that is absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, that was Luke, who was living his personal life and partying, having a good time, and then showing up and doing his 9 to 5 at
pre-power athlete.
Yeah, pre-power athlete. But I remember Luke, who has since moved on, but one of our guys, when I hired him, he was working for some like parts manufacturer in the Midwest, and was like showing up to this corporate gig and was just out every night, just killing it, and would have to like I got to go in there and try to pretend that I'm somebody I'm not. And I think after a couple of years, he was like, I either got to make a change or pull the ripcord. And I think like there's that feeling of like, I just don't know if I can continue to live this lie. And I wonder how many people are just like coming in trying to hold it together.
But I mean, there's so few of us. Like personally, I could never live in an office space cubicle environment. And like so much of our personality is in work, and work in personality. Like, and then you have this question in here, Mark, that I think is appropriate time for, and that it's inspire and pull reality towards your vision, or do you drag your vision down to your reality? And that was something that jumped out to me, and I immediately thought of our old pal Luke Summers, and then the cubicle lifestyle.
Oh yeah,
never sought that out, no matter how big the paycheck. But like, what's the expectation for people to just suck it up or pursue their dream of being creative?
Or there's an idea that maybe one day they won't be in the cubicle if they keep working hard. And then you get the corner office and you're not in the cubicle anymore. Like, that's what I always thought. Like, if you work at a company like that where you're stuck in a cubicle, like, is the idea that I'm going to be in this cubicle and this is my life for the next 30 years. I know that's what Luke told me. He's like, I was scared to death that like I was going to become like the crazy Eddie, where all of a sudden I got 30 years in, they're giving you a gold watch and you haven't moved out of your cubicle. So I think that there's like a fear of that, or is there an idea of one day that like, if I work hard and I prove myself worthy, now all of a sudden I get promoted and fast tracked, and now I'm out of a cubicle into a corner office, let's say.
Yeah, how to describe it? I think a lot of people don't love the work that they do. I think they've built a story around, well, I can't quit, or I can't change things because bad things are going to happen. I need, the status or the money, and it just sort of, everyone's stuck in their comfort zone in that way. And they're not, in those cases, they're stuck in their fear, I think, in many cases, rather than seeing that fear as a cue for learning and growth. For someone who is deathly afraid of changing their job, what is that fear telling you? What is that fear signaling that you may learn in this particular situation? It may be that you need to, show up in a different way at your current job and stop playing it so safe. It could be that you need to step out and try something new because that's what you really love and that's where your real passion is. But I think a lot of people just get stuck in their comfort zone and shy away from the fear rather than leaning into it.
We met a lot of gym owners that were sick of their 9-to-5ers and then attended a weekend seminar, and then or were part of a successful gym and said, I could do that. And then went out and pursued that and realized, oh shit, this is work.
I think everybody should have the opportunity to chase their dream at some point. Now, and like whatever that looks like. I mean, I saw it in a million different ways. Like, we would go and teach seminars and people were like, I'm going all in on this thing. Like, I want to, fitness and performance and this, and they want to open a gym and, have people. And like, that's the reality. And I've always told people whenever they ask me, do you think it's a good idea? And I think if you have an itch you want to scratch and there's something that you want to do and this is your passion, I think everybody should at least chase it one time, regardless of whether or not it crashes and burns or becomes overly successful. Like years ago, this is a fucking hilarious story about me, but my older brother is pretty successful, does insurance for like large like construction type stuff, like huge excavators and cement, and does all this construction insurance stuff out in California. And he made a fucking smart ass comment that he thought that selling insurance and doing that was much more difficult than playing in the NFL. He's got to show up and beat people up, and it's actually running a business and that. And so I said, "Fuck you," and went and got an insurance license, put money down, and opened my own brokerage. So I had an insurance brokerage one off season, and actually ended up writing commercial construction loans for people that were building dream homes down in Mexico. So it was like this total product that this guy that I know was basically refining people's homes, letting them pull out equity, and then was putting them into construction loans so that people could build their second home, dream home down in Mexico on some land. And so I came in and wrote all the insurance for it. And it was amazing when we would go to Mexico and we would go meet with these people that would show up. They would like show up, and I used to call it dirt in a dream, that they would like stand on this hilltop with these like sticks around this like little piece of dirt, and they'd look at these pictures and they'd get this like glassy eyed that like, I'm going to own a house here, and we're going to look out and wake up every morning and see the Pacific Ocean. And I saw hundreds of people with what I call dirt in a dream. Now, whether or not they actually got to the finished product was another thing. But like the amount of people that were willing to leverage everything for the idea that they're going to have this house in Mexico, that they're going to be able to wake up and see the ocean, was like too many to count. And it was super fascinating. And then football season started, and I basically shut it down and proved to my brother that, fucking selling insurance is a lot easier than playing in the NFL. But it was it was amazing to me how many people like got to this point in life where they had worked and done everything, and they had this dream, and somebody, made it possible for them to have this dream. And I remember one guy asked me, like, "You think it's a terrible idea?" And I'm like, "No, I think that everybody should chase their dream one time." Now, I don't know if I would lever my whole existence and my family and my kids' college and, the idea of retirement on it, because I've seen people do that all the time, where they're, cashing out 401ks and this to sink into a terrible business venture. But I think everybody should have the desire to chase their own dream. Like, and we saw this all the time with people, like I said, at the seminars, like would always ask me, "Do you think this is a good idea?" And I would always tell them the truth and being like, if you want to work 70 hours a week, probably not make any money in the first year, fucking never take a vacation, I think the gym business is great for you. If any of those sound awful, I don't know if it's the greatest thing, or you have to find partners to share the load. But there were a lot of people that were like owner operators, one employee. I mean, it just was a really rough existence. And I think the people that have done well have found a way to kind of like spread it out a little bit, hire coaches, hire this, and, backfill with people that have strengths where their weaknesses are. And those are the people we've seen that have been successful, which is similar to any company. There's all, like in the startup world, people wear lots of hats. And then as the company grows, all of a sudden people kind of find this is what I'm good at. And you kind of push them into that direction, and you kind of bring on more hats.
Yeah, I love that. I've got a question for you in a sec, but you're making me think that, it's not enough to just make one decision. Like, hey, I'm going to leave my job and start a gym. You actually have to make a whole series of decisions with a learning orientation as you go. So you may make that, initial leap, which is great. But if you show up and you're like, well, now I, am stuck in fear and not, continuing to learn and surround myself with, knowledgeable people and listen to my customers. If you're just, very bullheaded about it, you're probably not creating the conditions for your success. So I think you have to, make that initial leap, don't get stuck in your fear, but you have to continue that as you go. You have to keep learning.